Kings Diamond with cap number 2, Emma Bryan, 3, Jerusha Keatley, 4, Jordan Ross, who's the vice captain, 5, Tessa Timms, 6, Marika Babalier, 7, Grace Driscoll, 8, Joey Vinning, 9, Annabelle Fletcher-Jones, captain, 10, Olivia Dorr, and 11, Harris Hinata.
And on the black team, wait, if you just give me a second, I've been told there are some changes to this team from the list I've been given, so I'm just going to get them up. I've got it on my phone. We have Captain Chris Cleaver. I know that one's right.
And the game is about to start in 5 seconds.
Oh, that's not good. We've got number 1, Samantha Blackham. Number 2, Briley Robinson. Number 3, Emily Taylor. No, we don't. They've skipped numbers. Number 2, Samantha Blackham. Number 4, Briley Robinson. Number 5, Emily Taylor. Number 6, Heather Fenderson. Number 7, you know what? We'll get to that at half time because the game's underway and these girls are just changing their cap numbers a lot. Very quick offensive here from the New Zealand team, pushing the Australians all the way back against their goal tray. And it looks like it's going to be a very early goal from them. Referees seem happy, and it's number 11.
Harris Hinata, very fantastic player from the Tauranga region, mid-northern in New Zealand, for those who have no clue where New Zealand is. Or where the places are, should I say. My name's Devin Glover, by the way. And I'm joined here with James. I'm not sure what your last name is, James.
James Milner.
James Milner.
From Australia.
Should have known that.
Definitely should have, mate. We've been playing against each other for how many years now?
Oh, maybe a good 6, I'd say.
Yeah, 6 or 7. The girls are off again. Looks like New Zealand putting a bit of a drive in through the middle, but Australia's cleared it off to that far wall away from our cameras here. It's been pushed all the way against that wall, and you can see both teams getting lots of numbers down, trying to get a bit of a drive going. New Zealand scoring very early. This Diamond team's been very strong so far this competition. And it looks like a bit of a run here, going into the middle there and finding a lot of support. Australia just managing to stop that one.
Yeah, the New Zealand Diamond team hasn't lost a game yet, in fact. But yes, all 6 games they've won with a total of 18 points all up.
That's going to be another goal for them here now.
Only with 2 goals scored against them.
And that's number 9 for New Zealand scoring that goal.
Annabelle Fletcher-Jones was the captain from Auckland City, the biggest city in New Zealand with a whole 1 million people. Pretty sure Sydney has more than the whole of New Zealand's population.
I wouldn't be surprised. But, still, you managed to outpopulate us when it comes to underwater hockey players. I've been to some of your school's competitions. They're absolutely massive. And I believe New Zealand still holds the record for the biggest underwater hockey competition in the world.
That we do. That was in Christchurch in 2010, I believe, or 2009.
I managed to get into that one as a representative Tasmanian team. We went and we played twice as many games as any of the New Zealand teams. And another big run here from the New Zealand. It's going to be another goal for number 11. The second one of this match.
New Zealand definitely taking dominance at the very start of this game with a 3-0 lead with 11 or 12 minutes to go in the first half. Very young team, the Australian B team. Most of them, I've been told, sitting around 14, 15 years old. So it's going to create some very strong competition for the New Zealanders in the next couple of years, that's for sure. It's good to see that Australia is fielding more teams now at the age group world champs. I think it's the first time both under-19 grades has had 4 teams.
Yeah, first time that Australia's bought 2 teams in each of the men's and women's division. And hopefully this will be good for the future of Australian hockey going into men's and women's competitions down the line. That Australian player there, swimming a long way back, really making sure she's got behind the puck to defend, but it looks like her teammates have done a good job defending that one. New Zealand now down this close side. A big drive here. Looks like
great defensive work from the Australians. But
Oh, and another massive flick comes in.
it really is hard when you're right in front of the bin and you're trying to stop it, but the flicks just come flying through. I think that was number 9, Annabelle Fletcher-Jones, once again the captain of the Diamond team.
Yeah, she's definitely done a good job there, picking up the puck as it spilled behind her forwards and just launching a big flick into the goals. The Australians are going to have to get some more numbers down and spoil those flicks coming in from the New Zealand backs. Really, the forwards' job in the defense is
It's
to
all about
get
putting
down.
pressure on those players. When if you give them too much space and they've got those flicks, they're going to let them loose, and you don't want to let them have the time to do a bit of a
Big
high
punch
stick.
there.
Big kick on the turn there. Sometimes you wonder how deliberate those kicks are.
I've definitely seen a few deliberate ones, but I wouldn't believe it of these young, innocent under 18 women's team, Devon. Some of the larger men, maybe, but not these little girls, surely.
A couple of these younger girls playing for Tauranga and they're put up against the dirty old men that play with more of their stick than actually on the puck.
Ooh, maybe they've learned a couple of tricks there. And putting in another goal here for New Zealand. Just a lot of numbers down the centre of the goal.
Number 10, Olivia Dorr for the Diamond team. If you're wondering why New Zealand is called Obsidian and Diamond, is because they decided to make 2 even teams this year. But it seems there's always going to be one that's a little bit stronger, and it's this year at the moment. Letitia Jackson's team, as the coach, has got a little bit stronger so far, as they've only had 2 goals scored against them this whole tournament.
Yeah, I think both of those goals were scored by the other New Zealand team, the Obsidian team. I watched some of those games yesterday in the commentating booth, and the Diamond team were really a lot more aggressive through the middle of the pool. Obsidian doing a good job keeping it onto those walls and corners, but when the Diamond team broke out, they're looking a lot stronger with greater numbers. And really, sometimes you have to wonder how much of it is individual strength and how much of it is just a better team plan and player synergy.
Yeah. Sometimes you can have the greatest team down on paper, but if you've got a team that meshes together well, they can definitely take a tournament. I've seen schools teams over in New Zealand without any New Zealand representatives take out a national trophy against a team that has 4 or 5 New Zealand reps.
Yeah, and often a good coach can get the players to get in the water and really bond together.
It's amazing when a team sport's actually about playing as a team, wouldn't you think?
Yeah, indeed it is. There's no fame or prestige to be had here. Everyone looks exactly the same underwater, and just got to catch a glimpse of those numbers. It's all about what you can do as a team. Looks like a big curl in the centre there for the Australian, but the New Zealanders just had the numbers in the centre, and another big run by them down the middle. Australia looks like they can be able to clear it out to the wing. I'm not even sure who has possession at the moment. It looks like New Zealand just creeping into the corner. We'll see if they can get the numbers over the top.
Australia doing great work at holding that defensive corner in this segment of play. Lots of numbers on the bottom, barely any caps on the top of the water, which is it's always nice to see when you're in a game of hockey. Really shows that you're at an international level when you see more players on the bottom of the pool than on the top of the pool.
Yeah, and the girls definitely having to fight for position on the bottom there. There's only so much ground around the puck and a lot of bodies trying to get in there.
Advantage being played by one of the refs in the top corner.
Looks like he's willing to let it go though, as it looks like Australia are making a bit of ground out. But New Zealand now right in front of the Australian goal. The flick comes through.
Massive amount of space. There's not enough pressure on the New Zealand team, giving them too much room to move.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And that Australian back just got to stick onto the puck, but it looks like the New Zealanders coming through and not giving it any time to do anything with it, just punching that puck straight into the goal tray.
It looked like it was number 6 who scored that. Marika Babalier. Her older sister is in the under-22 women's team, Emma Babalier.
I believe the under-22 women's team has also been very strong in this competition.
They have
Looks
been
like
playing.
they've taken out their group so far.
They've been playing very well. Australia did put on a good hit on them on, I think it was Tuesday, where it was only a 4-3 win for the New Zealanders, and they were down for the first half. But the New Zealanders managed to scrap their way back into it. But majority of the games have been very strong New Zealand's dominance, but definitely not thinking they've won it, because the Australians always know how to pull it back at the end of a tournament. I've seen it multiple times before. Some of the times when we played together, Jones.
Yeah, and I believe there was one competition where we didn't win a single game of the round robin. We had a couple of draws and then brought it out in the very last game, the final.
It still hurts.
Win. And another goal here from the New Zealand team.
Player number
9
number
again,
9.
I believe. Another goal for her.
Annabelle Fletcher-Jones, the captain. She was a very strong player in the World Championships last year when the under 19 girls went away and placed silver for the very first time. It was, I think, the first time that we've been upset in the under 19 grade. So it shows that the rest of the world was catching up.
And that was just the South African girls, I believe.
Very, very strong.
Beating out the New Zealanders. In their home pool, of course. No, that wasn't. That was in Spain. It was the Elite World Competition that took place in South Africa. No, over in Spain, but yeah, great job from the South Africans. They're beating out a historically very strong New Zealand under-19 team. And did your boys win the under-19 boys in
Yes,
Spain?
the under-19 boys won that one. Superior fitness was really just all they had, and also great team play and players, but their fitness definitely helped them get through. When it comes down to finals, quite often it comes down who the fitter, hungrier team is, because everyone's so even.
You know, you can't discount the fact that the players have to play a very long competition indeed just to get to the final.
Yep.
Playing lots of games there. And the referee here calling advantage. I'm not sure who that's going to be for, as Australia clears it out towards the goal. And another referee just puts his hand in the air as the first one leaves his down. It doesn't look like any calls are going to be made here. New Zealand doing a great job getting that away from the corner into the middle of the pool.
No goal being made. It was gloving by the New Zealanders. So they'll be pushing back. The Australians doing great work at holding it out.
Yeah, it's good to see the Australians managing to get down and defend. A really strong push from the New Zealanders. Just getting those numbers on the bottom that they've been lacking a couple of times here this game. A timeout called by the New Zealand coach.
Letitia Jackson. Letitia was the assistant coach to the under-19 women's team last year, and Emma Ray was their coach, and she's now moved up to the under-22s, so it's quite good to see a progression coming through with the coaches.
Yeah, it looks like Letitia's done a fine job with these girls. Obviously, they haven't lost a game yet, and they'll be favourites if they go through to the final tomorrow, and it's looking like they're going to do just that quite early in this game.
Only 4.5 minutes to go. The score currently is 7 Diamond, 0 Australia. It's like the girls are giving each other a bit of a amp-up talk in their little team timeout from the Australian side.
And it looks like it's going to be number 10 there, Jade Smith, taking the puck for Australia.
Very aggressive advantage puck. 4 players coming forward.
Yeah, 3 setting a really tight stack right in front of the puck, and then a very wide, what I can only assume is a halfback, Sophie Williams there. Very wide. But it looks like the puck's been put straight into that pack. And it's come out an Australian advantage. Jade Smith swimming all the way. Taking that puck and then swimming it all the way up this near side wall. New Zealand now switching it around as they steal the puck as it spills through their back line. New Zealand, great little drive here. And once again, finding the space and the numbers. Ooh,
beautiful flick.
Just going onto the lip of the tray there, but of course, followed up by the New Zealand player. Number 7 there.
Grace Driscoll. Number 7.
Good work by her. It's always embarrassing when you flick the puck, lands on the lip of the tray, you've already gone up, of course. You wouldn't want to see something like that happen at an international competition.
It's even worse when you flick it and it goes above the goal and then it falls back down.
Yeah, I've seen that happen a couple of times as well.
Especially on a penalty shot.
Yeah, just too strong for your own good, of course.
That's the excuse, You've been just hitting the gym so much, your flick's just too strong.
Yeah.
And we've got a frozen camera in the middle here. The strike's been taken. I'm going to assume that the puck has been taken in the moment by the New Zealanders by the body positions on top of the water, driving it towards the Australian sub bench. We've got to switch the camera now to see what's happening.
Frozen again. Right, good times.
And Australia doing great work to recycle it out to the side wall. Going for a bit of drive themselves, taking it into space.
It looks like one of the New Zealand players having a bit of a medical problem on the side of the pool. I'm not sure who that is, but New Zealand is now with 3 in their bench. We've of course got a doctor on the scene here.
Dr. Sandra Milner.
Indeed. She's looking after that player. I'm sure she'll be fine. We have had a couple of players with asthma problems here this week, as the Hobart pool, you have to heat it very hot to get through these cold Tasmanian winters. And of course, hot pool means lots of chlorine in the air.
So number 10.
That's 11, Brady. This is 11.
Fine. Number 11.
So number 11 was the one who scored that, Paris Hanara. So we know that she's not out on the side of the pool. Sandra, also known as the mother of underwater hockey, is doing some fantastic work at looking after the New Zealand player. Hopefully she's not doing anything to make her worse. But I'm sure Sandra wouldn't do that because she just loves everybody.
I'm sure she wouldn't now, especially since the Australian team's been knocked out just before. Maybe if they were going through the final. But no, of course I'm joking. And good work by this New Zealand team, really putting on the pressure on the Australian B team. And New Zealand just 3 subs now, but it seems to be all they need.
It's definitely going to make it a lot harder for them in the final tomorrow, though, having to work a bit harder and tiring them out.
Yeah, I'm not sure how
Another
many.
goal has been made.
Not sure how many players this New Zealand team brought. Looks like they've just bought the 10.
Yeah, they only had 10 as they picked a squad of 20 and then split them into the 2 even teams. Looks like it was a no-goal.
No goal call with just a minute left in this time. Yeah, and our middle camera is still frozen. We've got our technical director, Nick Martin, here, coming over to the window and asking if it was back, but unfortunately not. And here, the camera's just going off now. And that's that beeping you can hear in the background.
Some great work from the Australians, holding off into the side wall, and it's in a stick infringement by the New Zealanders, getting pushed back once again. Interesting to see if the Australian B team can capitalise and get a goal on the Diamond team. But great to see that for the Australian morale, to get them a goal against the team that seems to be dominating this tournament.
Yeah, I don't think we've seen this B team for Australia score any goals. I might be wrong there. Feel free to correct me on the stream if I am. Of course, the under-18 B team for the boys just scored a single goal this competition. I know they were very happy with that one. So it'd be lovely to see the Australian B team replicating that feat in their last game of this competition. And that's half time. The players are swapping sides. It looks like we've got our middle camera up and working again. It's obviously been feeling the strain of this long competition as much as our players have been, as it just keeps shutting off on us. But a quick turn it off and on again seems to be making it right. As got an announcement going out over the PA, just welcoming everyone and thanking them for coming and watching.
It looks like they've set up a barrier so that players, fans can't stand right next to the edge of the pool. By the looks of things, it might be what the announcement is about. Is it gets quite intimidating for some of the teams to have a whole crowd of either yellow and green or black standing behind you if you're not the team they're supporting.
And we have had a couple of complaints that a screaming crowd that close to the pool can actually make it hard to hear the buzzer going off.
It's also hard for the teams to hear the coach talking in the team chat, as Letitia is doing currently for her team. And it seems the Australians are having their team chat in the sub bench.
Yeah, so Coach Chris Cleaver likes to be able to stand on the sub bench. No treading water for him.
I like it.
Have got that in-water platform set up for our players.
Well, I just told you everything anyway.
And it looks like the microphone outside is finally working. You're about to hear that, of course.
The score currently stands at 9-0.
Really?
The game after this is the semi-final for
thought that.
second
Oh no,
place.
they are on the water.
And a spot
We've got 1 minute left in the half time.
Versus the under 18 New Zealand blue team. It'll be a torrid affair. As I've got to say, all underwater hockey games against New Zealand, particularly at school level, they have
And that's our ex-president of Tasmanian underwater hockey, Dave Hilder, making that announcement out to the crowd. I'm sure he's joking when he says that games against New Zealand are particularly dirty, but jokes may be falling a bit flat on this crowd. A lot of New Zealanders out there. And it looks like the players getting ready. Just a couple of seconds left before we start the second half. The score currently 9 to the white New Zealand Diamond team, and 0 for the Australian B team in black.
10 seconds to go until the first strike of the second half.
Oh, and I did promise I was going to read out the team list again in halftime. I didn't do that. I might just do that really quickly now. So number 1, Samantha Blackman. Number 2, Briley Robinson. Number 3, Emily Taylor. Number 4, Heather Fenderson. Number 5, Katie Hamilton. Number 6, Sophie Williams. Number 7, Gabriel Larson. Number 8, the captain, Sarah Macbeth Curtin. Number 9, Maya Madehurst. Number 10, Jade Smith. And number 11, Bronte Abel. And we've got Coach Chris Cleaver leading them all, hopefully into a strong second half. Well, looks like New Zealand are going to get in very early.
Oh, it's a gloving foul, so no goal on that one. The New Zealanders will be being pushed back, and the Australians get to take a puck to try and, most likely, I would assume, take it towards the wall. Be very brave to go straight up the middle.
Yeah, it's been a pretty clean game here, actually, this first half.
Both games today in the semi-finals have been very clean. Refs playing a lot of advantage, which is good, keeps the game flowing.
And that's always the way you like to play, although even more tiring for these players when you don't get a rest.
Yep.
Every couple of seconds.
Oh, great swim from the New Zealanders straight into the corner of the goal bin, or goal tray as the Australians like to call it.
That's number 11 from New Zealand scoring that goal.
Once again, Paris Hanada.
Great work from her, obviously managing to find a lot of space, and her teammate rewarding her with those pucks that she can put in the goal tray.
That was a goal to the New Zealand Diamonds by Paris Hanada.
Oh, it looks like we're going to be announcing every goal out over the loudspeakers here. I guess it's always good for the fans to be able to know who scored
And what's going on.
exactly what's going on, indeed.
I'm not sure if you haven't noticed, but the underwater hockey is not the greatest spectator sport in the world. But we do our best to make it so you can see what's going on. We've got an advantage being played currently by the ref.
Oh, New Zealand. Great swim
Another
around
goal.
the outside. I can only imagine the ref will allow that one. As that was number 6 there, doing a great job getting all the way around the outside of the Australian defender. A real turn of speed, and then chipping that one into the goal tray.
So the goal was scored by number 6, Marike Babalier. The score now 11-0 to New Zealand Diamonds.
And I can confirm that New Zealand player has left the pool. It looks like she is alive and well, but she will not be playing anymore underwater hockey today. Referees calling advantage as the New Zealanders just get a lot of numbers down, sprinting, not even next to the wall here. Ooh, and a great little push off by the Australian defenders, but once again, the New Zealand backs coming in there.
New Zealand is really taking dominance in the second half. That goal was scored by number 9, Annabelle Fletcher-Jones, the captain of the Diamond team. I'd also like to apologise. I've been calling Marika Babalar incorrectly. So it's Marika Babalar who scored the previous goal.
And we've got a question here on YouTube. If games number 35 and 41 have been loaded onto the YouTube, as the kids are calling it, I'll get the answer for you as soon as I can. I don't actually know that much about streaming. This is our first time, either of us here, doing this sort of thing. So I'll get that answer for you as soon as possible. But unfortunately, if they haven't been loaded in, they might just be lost forever. And it looks
Another
like
goal from New Zealand.
Very high off the bottom there, but able to maintain control of the puck as she swims all the way in. Number 7 there from New Zealand.
It was Grace Driscoll. Another fantastic goal from her. She's put on a few of the goals in this game so far. Quite a few of the players around the pool starting to really suffer from injuries. It's fantastic that we've got the Australian physios on site to help out, offering to help out with the New Zealand teams as well. Hopefully they're not sabotaging us secretly, as a few of us have potentially suspected limping away after they've given us a calf massage.
I'm sure they wouldn't do that, but the physios definitely prefer treatment over the player's comfort, as any massage you get there is definitely not going to be a relaxing one.
Oh no.
We've got physio Nick Stepkovich and his large array of helpers coming out on the pool deck here, providing all sorts of physio treatment.
Another goal almost by the New Zealand. I think that's in. Australia is really trying to hold it off. That's a no goal by the looks of things. Stick infringement from the New Zealanders. Great work from the Australians holding that out as much as they can, putting pressure on the New Zealanders so that they infringed it into the bin.
New Zealand just getting a little bit carried away there, maybe. Looking to score another goal as quickly as possible. But good work from Australia to force that foul out of the New Zealanders. And we'll see if they can take it away from the New Zealand pack here. It looks like they're just going to opt to flick straight in the middle. Of course, Australia setting up their own offensive line right in the middle of that pool.
Bit stagnant in the middle of the pool. Australia doing some great defensive work, holding
New
it out a
Zealand
little bit
around
longer.
the outside,
But,
and it looks like she's found a bit of a gap around the outside there, managing to swim all the way around the entire Australian team as they maybe weren't ready.
that number 11,
For
I
that
think
much
they were
speed.
calling. Paris Hanara, once again, she's got some solid speed on that outside. Really puts on the gas when she needs to. Tiny little feet going so fast, it's surprising they go anywhere.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of these New Zealand players bringing the Najad fins to this competition. I don't know if Devon can shed some light on that, shunning the more traditional carbon fibre or fiberglass fins.
So the Najad fin is definitely not as fast as the Breyer, which is what the carbon fibre or fiberglass fin that is quite popular around the world. But it definitely gives you a little bit more agility in the water, which is why so many of the New Zealanders love to play it. Faster turns, not quite as fast out of the turn, but you can do some solid turns and some good acceleration in them.
Yeah, I've definitely heard you have a lot of acceleration, a very small fin.
Yes. It's very hard to get used to as well. If you're used to, I normally play with the New Zealand-made Ruku, which is
It's another fiberglass fin.
Yes, it is another fiberglass fin. But that one cracked just before this tournament, so I've been playing with some Najays this tournament. It's definitely a different style of play that you have to get used to, but very, very, and it's also a little bit more affordable than the...
Yeah, the Najad's just a rubber fin. Definitely a lot cheaper than the larger ones. Also a little more durable, I would imagine.
Yes, they do last a little bit longer, but when they get soft, they don't do very well. So as soon as they get soft, you kind of can't really use them anymore. So people go through them quite quickly, especially if they're using them quite a lot. Whereas the Breyers and the Rukus seem to last a little bit longer as long as they don't crack.
Yeah, and of course, once they crack, that's it.
Yep.
A foul here against the Australian team. We just had a quick time out. One of the teams, I'm not sure which one, wanted to have a bit of a chat with their players, but we're back in the action now. New Zealand pushing in against this Australian goal try. Looks like a big flick into the middle here, and Australia
Some drive.
trying to clear it out that far side, but unable to do so.
New Zealand's just got that extra number on the outside, just pushing it into the goal bin. And it's number six, I think it was, once again. Marika Babalar.
Yeah, great work from her. And I agree with you, Devon. The New Zealand players doing a really good job of shutting down those goal tray switches. Very cheeky goal tray switches when they do work, but of course, New Zealand is all over that at the moment, getting around the outside and smashing that one in. And because we've got the camera frozen again, we're really going to need to try to figure out a better long-term fix for that. But we'll get someone on that as soon as we can. As it looks like the players just come right up to the players' sub-bench.
And there's the call being made by the referee right in front of the Australian sub-bench.
It's going to be an illegal knockdown against the Australian team. Being pushed back just past their sub-bench here. New Zealand team having a very good opportunity here to bring it into the middle and attack that goal try. Just like a buzzer we can press when the camera goes down.
Yeah.
And it looks like the New Zealand team has called a timeout before they take this free puck here.
Still tending to the player on the side of the ball. Haven't been able to get much news on who that player is, but definitely under safe hands with Sandra Milner on the scene, and a couple of well-known New Zealand higher-up people like Tony Colquhoun, Flo Morgan, and Nicole Baker, making sure that she is safe. And also they've got another person down there helping out as well.
That's Nick Stepkovich, the physio. I also know we have at least one nurse in the Australian fan squad, so I'm sure she'll be in good hands. And if I had to guess, I would imagine that would just be a bit of an asthma attack brought on by the chlorine in the pool.
Fun fact about the chlorine is that the fumes sit just above the water, so it affects players closer to the end of the tournament as the fumes go down through the snorkel. So it's not as bad for the people who aren't in the water, but the referees are also starting to suffer a little bit, starting to get coughs, and asthma really is not one of the best things to have.
Yeah, hopefully everyone bought the medication they need. Asthma quite treatable, but if you don't have the medication, it can be very nasty. I remember a couple of years ago here in 2000 and... Jesus.
13.
When Hobart
2010.
Yeah, it was 2010 we had Hobart Nationals.
Trans-Tasman was the 2010 that I first attended. First tournament was in Hobart International.
Queensland. Hobart.
What year was that? Anyway, a couple of years ago here in Hobart, we had a bit of a problem with the gas and the ballast tanks underneath the pool that are meant to regulate the gas went dry. And the pool was...
Great defensive play by the Australians. Sorry to jump in on that one.
That's alright. For a day or two, the pool was actually pumping chlorine gas into the air. Oh, fortunately, nothing like that happening today, or we would see a lot worse problems with the asthma attacks and such like. But it looks like he's going to be free against Australia here.
New Zealand driving up nice and close to the bin. Australia setting up quite... Not very fast getting down from the Australians, giving a massive gap for the New Zealanders to throw a huge flick right up into the goal bin. Good scrambling from the Australians.
We'll see if the referees are going to allow that. It looked like it did come off the player's glove, but obviously the referee's not seeing that one. Or maybe I'm wrong. New Zealand bringing it all the way around and attacking that open face with the goal try. Number 4 from New Zealand there scoring that goal.
Jordan Ross, vice captain. Fantastic team goal there from the New Zealanders, making the score 16-0.
And camera 2 back online. Hopefully we'll stay up a little bit longer this time. So we're about to bring you all the action here. In the last 5 or so minutes of this game, New Zealand now lining up on the back wall again. They seem eager to get going. Australia maybe tiring a bit. We did see them a bit slow to get to the bottom there on that last goal. Able to push it out fairly well, but New Zealand coming all the way around and scoring again.
One of the great things about the international tournaments is playing these 30-minute games when most of New Zealand are used to playing probably 10-minute halves. And so once you get into the last part of the second half, you feel like you've played 2 games. And especially if you haven't got the fitness, it's not an easy feat.
That's definitely an interesting little fact there. I was not aware. Australia, of course, playing half-hour games the way that God intended. But that's shocking because New Zealand always seem to have great fitness in these competitions. Very, very impressive fitness by these New Zealand teams. It's really shocking to hear that they don't play the full-length games most of the time, and New Zealand again putting it in. to the goal tray, and the ref seemed happy with that goal. It's going to be number 6 from New Zealand scoring another goal.
Mainly in the schools grade, where we bring it down to the 10-minute halves just because we don't want to kill the children.
Well, with those massive schools competitions, I imagine you're a bit pressed for time as well.
That as well, that does not help the situation. I think we've got 40 teams going to our schools nationals this year in Wellington.
An Australian player here getting out off the bench. Not sure if this is a equipment failure.
Looks like a bleeding nose.
Yeah,
He's holding a nose there. Not sure if that was a puck or an arm or a foot. It can be really anything in a game.
That's Heather Fenderson for Australia. Forced to spend a bit of time on the side of the pool. Really, even just the pressure of going up and down if you've got delicate
Massive
nose.
swim by the New Zealander.
Indeed, great work from her. I think the Australian back struggling to get
by the
back.
looks of things.
Yeah, it looks like the referee's
Olivia
number
Dorr, fantastic swim by her, breaking out with 2 minutes to go. The score is 18 Diamond, 0 Australia.
So now the last 2 minutes of play, and you'll notice if you watch the scoreboard, things are done a little bit differently now. There's a left timer every time there's a stop and play.
New Zealand really doing a good job putting in these goals one after another, looking to maybe get themselves a bit of a confidence booster before the finals tomorrow against the New Zealand Obsidian team. And that should be a great game to watch. That's our first All New Zealand final coming up tomorrow. Australia now finding a bit of space here, but it looks like New Zealand has stripped the puck away and is swimming down the middle towards that goal tray.
New Zealand looking very cool, calm and collected, with the Australians just not quite having the fitness to be able to stay down long enough to keep away that second phase coming through.
It definitely does seem like a fitness issue coming late in the second half. Number 7 there, taking on 2 Australian players and just finding a gap in between.
It was Grace Driscoll.
Flick it into the goals. And we should just have one last strike here with 40 seconds left. We'll see if the New Zealand team feel like they can put in another goal, or whether Australia's going to be able to keep them out.
I can imagine the New Zealanders wanting to get it up to 20, as that's a little bit of bragging rights.
Yeah, 20 is definitely a good milestone. That's almost a goal a minute when you take into account the 30-second swim back to the side.
I have seen an international game.
And here they go, flicked it in.
Oh, beautiful. You can see some of those scores at international
Another
competitions, especially in the 19 grade, getting higher than 20 against the developing countries like Belgium.
Yeah.
They're slowly starting to get stronger and stronger, which is good to see.
Yeah, and that'll be the last goal, bring the score to 20 for the New Zealand Diamond team and 0 for the Australian development team. The next game we've got coming up will be a under-18 men's team. It's going to be the New Zealand blue team against the under-18 men's A team from Australia. And that should be a good game. We've seen New Zealand just managing to edge out the Australian team in a couple of games, but it's definitely been close. And that'll be in just about 12 minutes here as we're going to reset the stream. And we'll see you soon.